doesn't die with the perpetrators. Generations to come, we are responsible for the guilt which has been taking place on behalf of our own communities. So if guilt is not acknowledged, from generation to generation is pending there, waiting you to come, to acknowledge and condemn, only then you can start the process of reconciliation. Now, our case is one of the most difficult cases in the world, even in the world, Cyprus case, because so far, there have been never a condemnation in a legal or a political sense of crimes. We have crimes. I'm not talking about historical events which we have critically to overview. There are many also things we have to overview, but this is a job of historians, critical thinking of history. Here we are talking about something else. We are talking about the truth related to the crimes. That's the essence of the whole debate. And that truth, this kind of truth, is actually a demanding one. It's a difficult concept of truth. This truth is exactly first admission. I recognize the guilt. I recognize the crime happened on behalf of my community. I condemn and I produce the knowledge necessary. So I wouldn't limit this only just to find out the circumstances which led to the death of the missing persons only. This goes far beyond this. Thanks God, Achilleas at least is dealing with particular issue, which is good enough, but we have to widen the scope of the whole debate because there is no reconciliation without truth, and the truth should serve reconciliation. Thank you.
Maybe we keep both microphones, so this way we can do it. Yes, I hear, first of all, that's why he's a professor and that's why I'm a lawyer. So you understand the difference now. But I like your truth and reconciliation because I'll take you back in history and bring you to the Annan Plan. There was a Truth and Reconciliation Commission set up. And the reason I call this a Truth Commission is because I think, and I believe Niyazi agrees, the truth is the foundation of reconciliation. So we really have to get our act going. And of course, this is much wider. One thing I've seen talking about the Truth Commission is that it operates on at least two levels. The first level is a personal. Whoever hears the expression Truth Commission and does not have an exact understanding of what we're trying to do, takes off in his own mind or her own mind and discusses issues that concern him about truth. And that is very healthy because within that person's head, the issue of truth becomes processed. And I think that's a bigger success than actually setting this up. People are thinking along the lines of truth. And then the next level is whether we can get this commission off the ground. So I'll turn it to you because this is mostly about you and not us. Yes, I see a hand at the end. I can't see the person. So we'll do, just to be democratic, I'll give one question and then Niyazi gives the next one. And then we follow irrespective. Please state your name if you can. And I also like to acknowledge Nicholas Kyriakidis, who is here with us. He's one of the organizers. So a round of applause for Nicholas for supporting truth and inviting us here today. So please.
So thank you for the discussion. My name is Andrea.
Yeah, you need to do it so it's broadcasted.
Good morning again. My name is Andrea Hadjiandreou. Thank you for the discussion. I have a question. As you very well stated, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is not the first time that appears. We can see it through history. So could you maybe put it in context and explain to us if in the past similar commissions have actually changed something, or if they worked, they had advantages or disadvantages, or how it can be applied to the Cyprus reality and why we actually need it today more than ever? Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. There's an organization called Transitional Justice. It's based in New York. Its job is to do this kind of thing. I won't go through that, but I'll tell you there are at least 40 truth commissions all over the world. And the purpose of the Truth Commission is to engage in the process of truth finding. And that soul-searching exercise exercise brings out a lot of things in a society that is essentially traumatized, and it's in the process of healing. And transitional justice in law is a healing mechanism for societies who have experienced conflict and want to rebuild it. You are not building a solid foundation if truth is not included. You'll get it wrong. South Africa, you have seen it, it's perhaps the most important. Colombia was very important. I mean, the peace process was there. It started, it failed, it started again. There is a methodology, so I don't think the question is, should we have a truth commission in Cyprus? I think the question is, when we will have a truth commission in Cyprus. Niyazi?
I would like to say a few words to this. First of all, yeah, you mentioned the South African experience, which is most well-known. Don't forget that in South Africa, the perpetrators, they had to apologize in front of their victims to stand and accept and acknowledge their own deeds to the victims, and only then they got the amnesty. It was not like, I'm sorry what's happened in the past, I'm sorry is not good enough. It's exactly there to stand in front of the victims and acknowledge what you did. So in that sense was very successful one. It helped quite a lot in reconciliation. Well, there are other examples. For example, in Chile we have another example which works partly what's happened to crimes, about the crimes Pinochet period, but you see nowadays in Chile, half of the population are with Pinochet. So here this reconciliation didn't work well, actually, although some truth has been raised. So there are different models of commissions of truth and reconciliation and how they work, and I think each country, I mean, there is something in Italy, in Spain, there is a lot of debate nowadays. So we have to look, in our case, what is best.
You have to appoint the next question, so it's your turn. You have to pick someone from the audience.
There's someone here. Good. I go by...
Thank you. My name is Petros Aristodimou. I'm an ophthalmologist in Limassol. As a Greek Cypriot, I've inherited trauma and I've inherited guilt. So the Truth Commission will also apply to me as well as, you know, my previous generation. I was born in '77, so, you know, not directly into that. But there is an important point. Between coming up with the truth and reconciliation, we should have healing, we should have restorative justice. So we should put a lot of effort in developing mechanisms and asking people who are real experts in this, because that's actually the most important part of this process, to apply effective healing and restorative mechanisms.
Okay, to this directly, I mean, yes, healing. Healing can be only achieved if you have an empathy towards the stories of others. The language of healing language of the wounds is only if you consider also the other, if you go into his or her shoes and you develop an empathy. That thing in Cyprus doesn't work at all, because ethnocentric narratives about the past justifies each community all the time. And this is done by press level, informal education, political elites. So, and it's all those are closed. There are, of course, people like us, we are trying to do this, of course, but this is not good enough. Healing, the language of healing cannot start by saying to the other, all is your fault. So we have to develop a new language of healing, parallel to all of our research here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take healing as well, and I'll take you to a graveyard, and you can see the tombstones, and you can see the cypress trees, and you can't make the difference from afar if it's Muslim or Christian. You'll have to make sure that you go on a Friday or on a Saturday, depending on which faith you follow. So yeah, there is healing. A tombstone is closure, and this is the kind of thing we want. But acknowledgement, as Niyazi says, I think it's the next step. So I get to pick another question. And we have 4 minutes.
Yes, I follow up your question, when was the question. So according to these 40 commissions, have they been established after a solution or before a solution?
Yeah, I always get this question. Don't rock the boat is essentially your question. Well,
I'm not saying...
No, Matthew, I'm reading it. So don't rock the boat is the question. The answer is the boat is sinking. So I'll give you that. Yes, not most, a number of them have started after the process has ended, but I think 50 years or 60 years to be exact of a frozen conflict, I think is enough time, primarily because of death. Death really is the cut-off point. Most of the parents have gone, if not all. A number of the spouses, because it's mostly men that are missing, a number of the wives have gone, or partners. Children are around, but do you want to be a Spain example? 3 generations later, after the Spanish Civil War, someone comes and tells you, you had a grandfather or a great-grandfather, here's a little box, he fought for the Democrats and he's in the Valley of the Disappeared, and you can now have the remains and you can bury them. That is why you hear a sense of urgency in my talk, because I feel that, and I feel that too much time has been given. And I don't buy the argument that the peace process hasn't completed, because I believe that a Truth Commission is a building block of the peace process. So you need building blocks to build the peace house. Niyazi.
Yes, I think you wanted a question. It's the last one.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes.
Please.
Sorry, this is how life goes.
Yes, my name is Lena, and I wanted to ask about something you mentioned, that everyone wants it, but it's a matter of how much we want it. I find it hard to believe that everyone wants it, given the fact that on both sides, the leadership and the educational systems have used the past to instrumentalize it. So I want to ask, is it just a matter of political and social will, or is it also, are there actors who are actively stopping it or don't want this to happen?
Thanks. I'll give you a cynical reply. So yeah, very good question. A number of people who are against it, in the sense that they are using the other community as the pretext for not proceeding, are in fact the ones who were involved in the atrocity themselves. And they're using this in order to cover up what has been done. There are people, the system is there, but we really have to do something about this. I mean, identifying the issue, as you very rightly have done, is not good enough for me now. I want to deal with it. And again, because of the urgency, I want to manage it and I want to overcome the problem. And this kind of discussion, I think, is very helpful if we have managed to convince you that this is important. And it happened everywhere else in the world. Why is Cyprus so different? Niyazi?
Yes, well, definitely we need a policy of remembrance, a policy of memory to replace the ruling ethnocentric policy of remembering. This is so essential. Now, how do we remember nowadays? On both sides, you got the slogans, "Denk sekno, unutmam," I don't forget, and we insist not to forget. But actually, what do we remember? That's the question. And what do we remember? Definitely is selective elements of a recent history to justify a political position, ethnic political position. So we have to replace this by exchanging of memory and creating a new policy of remembrance. There we are. This is the challenge. It's a great challenge because not many are interested in this kind of empathy work or memory policies.
If I may add, remembrance and honoring. We need to honor these people. These people are, at least for the missing, they seem to be in a sort of different category of from everyone else. We remember, we honor, and we give truth a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.